darkness and aggression. He was buzzwording a lot to say the right things. And Øystein taking his wings around Varg and defending him and promoting him, doing everything available for him so that he could put it out. Øystein was, of course, interested in the money, or to actually be. He tried to build an industry around giving out records of the right sort of bands, the real bands, not all the rubbish around the real bands.
Vari Vikenes was full of big ideas and had already recorded several albums worth of material. In order to get maximum publicity for Burzum, Vari hit an idea like no other. He declared a personal war against Christianity, and not only in words, but as an act. Churches started to burn down to the ground. Vari took a photo from one of the burnt down churches and used it on his album Aske. The headlines gained from the church fires forced Euronymous to close Helvete, but still he saw himself as the leader of these called satanic terrorists. Vari, however, had another opinion. Besides Euronymous' death-like silent label, the band Mayhem was still active. Since there now only were 2 members left, Euronymous let Vari be the new bassist. Euronymous got in contact with a bizarre character from Hungary to do the vocals on the album. His name was Attila.
Øystein Euronymous, the guitarist of Mayhem by that time, he reached me via this guy, and it was first time I heard about actually Mayhem, and at the same time about the idea that if I could join maybe to the band and sing for their album. The vocals were a bit experimental, I know. I mean, people probably would expect, the screaming vocals like that laid down before. But, when we were in the studio and also in the rehearsals, but especially in the studio, we just tried different ways. So the others really like this kind of vocals, this dark, a little bit melodic, but still really dark and evil, alien kind of vocals. So I asked for a curtain and black room with candles, everything. It was nice atmosphere, so that was cool.
The album The Mysterious Dom Satanas was now recorded, but still a dispute between Vari and Euronymous grew. Euronymous did like he always did, send a death threat to Vari. On the night of the 10th of August 1993, the dispute reached its climax.
Yes, it's interesting because so far we were together. We were really okay, I think. So he was another kind of guy, of course, and he was younger, and he was also, seemed to me, really intelligent guy, really clean and sharp-minded and sharp way of thinking, and really spinning, active. And at the same time he was calm too, so it was not big shoutings, and big arguments, at least that time. So that's why it's a bit confusing, the whole thing and what happened later, and especially for me it was kind of shocking new, because I didn't expect that. So.
To
I was in Hungary, and I just lost all contacts suddenly. And
Vari made a visit at Euronymous' apartment, and on the pretext of wanting to discuss the contract related to Bursum, he convinced him to open the door. The argument that ensued became more and more heated until Vari pursued a knife and stabbed Euronymous. Euronymous attempted to escape, but Vari chased him, eventually delivering the fatal blow through the head. The knife was so deeply embedded that Vari had to use his foot to lever it out. Euronymous, Prince of Death and the self-proclaimed leader of the black metal circle, died on the stairs outside his apartment, aged just 25. The next day, the death of Euronymous was headline news in Norway. Mayhem's name was on every news bulletin. The band that had started as a hobby was now a nation nightmare.
Well, first of all, it was a shock to me, and I didn't know it before I saw the morning paper that day. Right then, I didn't know who did it, so I was thinking, shit, maybe they're coming after me too. So I borrowed a shotgun from a friend first week to feel safe, and then I realized what happened. And what happened was that Jørn was signed up a band called Bursum from Bergen, and apparently fucked him for money, for rights, and in the end went Camp Visnak. The guy behind Bursum wanted to leave Death Like Silence Productions. Euronymous had told him that he owed his 4 next albums, and was kind of laughing in his face about it, and in the end they started to send death threats in between each other. For Euronymous, I think that death threats, he was always like that, sending death threats to everybody all the time. It was not so much behind it, but when you send death threats to a person like Varg Vikernes, he probably thought better him than me. So he went down and killed him. And I think that's basically, if I were in the same shoes, been fucked financially and laughed at, would be pretty pissed off. I can understand it. Sorry that it happened to a friend of mine, but yeah, I don't feel any bad feelings towards Varg Vikernes today. But of course, I lost a good friend again.
Everything go back to those who create something. So I don't believe it was very smart.
The police had their eye on Vari Vikernes almost immediately. However, he seemed to have an alibi, but this didn't take long to fall apart. The trial of Vari Vikernes was a media circus, the biggest ever trial in Norway. Bursum and Mayhem were the words on everybody's lips. Yet Bursum would soon dissolve when the 21-year-old Vari Vikernes, the enigmatic Count Grishnak, was giving Norway's longest sentence in history, 21 years.
it's very strange, to describe all what you feel in such case, because for me at least, or for us, the band is very important, and when you play music you put your soul, and it's some kind of unity what we feel, and it's more maybe than a simple friendship, and we created something together, so it's always shit to lose friends, but especially in these conditions or surroundings. So I don't know, it was kind of disappointing for sure. But I don't know, shit can happen still, it seems. I don't know, it was...
I didn't follow the relationship that much. I don't know when it went from good to bad, or why it went from good to bad. I know a bit about why, but you have to ask the kid himself. He's gone some years now, so he probably not. I've seen some interviews, but he should have thought things through a bit. But when that is said, Øystein was not an innocent person in this story. Of course, no one deserves to get killed, but of course, Øystein was not a very lovable guy towards the people around him, which of course can trigger a kid to do extreme things.
In Euronymous' funeral, I talked to Hellhammer, and I was already in a band with Maniac at the time. We had a band called Flesh Wounds at the time, and we decided to try to find a new guitarist to continue. We searched for 1 year, and then we found a bloke called Rune, calls himself Blasphemer. He was very young, was 19 years old, but he had all the potential. He was as crazy as us, so he fitted the crew. And he's been making the songs since 1997, and we are very happy with the way everything is going with him.
Mayhem was now back on their feet. They recruited their first session singer, Maniac, who sang on the mini-album Death Crush. He had evolved his earlier primitive vocals to a more insane and wicked voice. Mayhem took the world by storm, and they released a mini-album titled Wolf's Lair Abyss.
Wolf's Lair Abyss is it reflects our personalities in 1995, 1996, 1997, the years we worked on it and the year it was released. It's a very aggressive record, and like I said, when it was released, I felt it was very representative for who we were as persons and the way we felt at the time.
Mayhem hadn't played live since the days when Dead was in the band, and they made their first concert in 7 years, a place in the middle of nowhere in Germany. Mayhem started to grow again as a band thanks to the great guitarist Blasphemer. He had different views than other guitarists amongst the Norwegian black metal scene, and Mayhem, who always had one step ahead, started in the year 2000 to create one of the most complex albums out to date, The Grand Declaration of War.